Miguel de Senna Fernandes, thanks very much for coming to be in conversation.
It's my honor.
The thing that immediately fascinated me when I started reading about you is the way in which the issue of identity is at the center of who you are and what you do. What got you there? Is it just being Macanese, this minority?
There was a time that the Macanese community were identified as Eurasians, Catholics, but then this notion was diluted in time. Nowadays, the Macanese themselves, they don't know what the hell am I? They keep asking this kind of things. So
is this because Macau has changed a lot?
Changed a lot, yes, of course. You see, the population, demographic tissue is totally different nowadays. 10 or 20 years ago, Macau was that tiny little city with the casino, and nothing more than that.
It's a place where someone like me would come.
Yes,
chill
just chill out, to have a relaxing weekend. And the Macanese community was concentrated in Macau. In those times, it wasn't. People remained in Macau. After their studies, they continued in Macau as a public servant. They wouldn't further their studies abroad. But then times changed.
But there'd always been a fairly strong leakage, if you like, of Macanese. But I mean, for example, when Hong Kong starts in 1841, the next thing is one sees a huge number of Macanese names arriving in Hong Kong. So there must always have been that movement out.
For obvious reasons, because Macau never had resources, economic resources. Even with the casino, there was only one casino. The casino is a business for the others. Okay, for the common Macanese, the common citizen, Macanese were a prototype of Macau's public servant. Now this notion changed totally. Right after when we stepped into the 90s, let's say the last decade of Portuguese rule.
So would you have said that the Macanese, in that sense, if we're talking about people with a split identity, it was 65% Portuguese, 35% Chinese?
I wouldn't say that. No. There are a lot of misconceptions about what is being Macanese. Well, first of all, Macanese. When we talk about Macanese, well, what is Macanese? Wow. The common sense would say, hey, a person born in Macau would be a Macanese, right? Everybody would say so. This corresponds to the common sense notion about this. But there is a cultural notion there.
Right.
A cultural, very heavy, very significant, a cultural level that we should attend.
So you're Christian?
Yes. We're Christian. I'm Catholic. I'm Catholic. We speak Portuguese.
Right.
But we have a way to see things in Macau. Maybe it's this cultural legacy from the Portuguese. The Chinese they call us 头上. 头上. Rigorously is 头上葡人, which means it's a Macau-born Portuguese. Now this 头上 had a meaning. They are 头上, they are born in Macau with some kind of a culture. Now we imported this 头上 to our vocabulary. So we call ourselves Macanese with this meaning.
Right.
So we are born in Macau with some sort of a different culture.
And so your inner self, the language you talk, both at home and in the street to each other, that's always either Portuguese or patois.
Well, I don't talk patois on a daily basis. No, we don't talk patois.
Does anybody talk patois on a daily basis now?
And very few, very few people. The idea of preserving this patois thing is not for people to restart talking patois. Nobody will do that. But the how should I say, the meaning of preserving patois is of other kind, and why not just remind them that there was a language that belonged to the past, that was linked, very rooted in our culture. So that's why.
Yeah.
Each year we do something. Now every day we don't talk patois, but okay, among ourselves in Macanese, we use some patois expressions just to enhance this, enhance that.
And one of the interesting things about the patois, it's a much larger collective memory than Macau, Portugal, and China. It's got bits of Sinhala in it, bits of Malayalam,
yes,
bits of Arabic, bits of English, bits of Cantonese. It's the whole history of colonial Portugal in some ways.
Yes, it tells a story of Portugal and in their roots to the big discoveries. It tells you this story, and the language itself tells our story. The story of this cultural mingling. Well, my family, Fernandes, my family has something like 270 years. But someone has just told me that you might descend from local Chinese, you know. Well, why not?
Yeah. Would it have been possible for a Chinese person in those days simply to have taken the family name Fernandes because it made it easier?
No. In those times, only Christians would have Christian names.
Okay, right.
So
if a Chinese person converted?
Yes. And a lot of Chinese they converted to Catholicism. And in the early days, if you are baptized, you will have a Portuguese name. So
that opens up this interesting line of speculation. There are these families which are, if you like, pure Cantonese families who have moved culturally into the Christian Catholic sphere and then go on and get thought of as Eurasians simply because that's the sphere they've moved into. And Eurasian is, in fact, it's a red herring. It's not really what it's about. It's about the adoption of a particular cultural form.
Yes, definitely. The church had played a very important role in this.
Are you often struck by the, well, to me anyway, very stark contrast between this very strong sense of cultural identity, which is also a very public sense of cultural identity. You run this little theatre. Your father wrote novels and poems in patois about the Macanese culture, whereas in Hong Kong, our Eurasians, if anything, are completely self-effacing. I've recently come across, this is a long one, a family who, their remaining Hong Kong-based element have literally removed every trace in their ancestry of the Western element that was a strong part of it only 50 years ago.
Yes. You see, this is my point of view, very personal point of view. I think there is a reason here. Well, since the establishment of Hong Kong, many people from Macau, Portuguese from Macau, they migrated to Hong Kong. Well, we were invited to be there because they were very important elements to interact with locals. Macau was running downhill, and well, in the middle of the 19th century, well, the British established there. They need people. Let's go. Right. That was the reason that motivated a lot of immigrations, a lot of diaspora. They managed to play important roles in the British administration, and well, being a Portuguese in those times were not that good. Maybe that might jeopardize a status or a pretension to a status in Hong Kong. Why? Okay. Why? Because Portuguese was facing a lot of problems. Portuguese after the war, the economy crumbled. The system, Salazar was then prime minister. His way of governing Portugal was outdated. He faced the problems in the colonies. They faced a lot of things. They were an underdog.
I have a slight doubt here because I mean I think
that's my speculation.
I think back to my youth and the as it were the British Chinese Eurasians who were very self-effacing, didn't really want people to notice that either they weren't Chinese or weren't British. Very unlike the Portuguese Macanese in Hong Kong with their Club de Recreo, Club Lusitano. Hey, come on, we're Portuguese. There was a lot of pride, I thought, by contrast to the Eurasians.
There was a lot of, well, those who hung there, in there, the Club Lusitano, of course, they had those values. They defended those values because both clubs had a lot of history, a lot of memories, a lot of tradition. So it's no wonder that the people who belong to those places, they remain at the status of being, I am a Portuguese.
Is the real difference a difference between how Portugueseness and Portugal's culture is and Britain's culture? Was there something about the British that was more snobbish, less receptive?
I don't know if whether there is a snobbish element here. I don't know.
Or racist, whichever. Call it what you
I don't know. The thing is, to my perception, the Portuguese, they interact with locals much easier than the Brits. Portuguese, they started from the very beginning. They start mingling with you. Once they come, they start mingling with you. Unfortunately, the new Portuguese, the Portuguese that now we see younger generations that come to Macau, they don't do this. I don't know why. Yeah, they don't mingle. They find. Maybe they build the barriers for this kind of mingling.
Two separate communities,
yes,
side by side.
Cases like ours, Macanese, we are exceptions to this barrier because the Portuguese always had. They never broke this barrier of cultural barrier. That's why, and the Chinese as well, because Chinese, the other side, they were still very conservative. They don't mix. The Chinese don't mix with others.
So, I mean, is this why the Macanese and the Macanese culture is under threat? Then, in a sense, the water in which it swims is drying up as Hong Kong, as Macau becomes more Chinese.
Yes. We have this fear, and I am particularly concerned about this rapid, this fast absorption by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese, of course. No, my mother is Chinese, and I have a lot of ancestry. But the concern I'm talking about is a cultural one. You see, if you don't do something, what's supposed to be different start to melt down, and what will become of this uniqueness, right? So that's why this motivates a lot of people to do things I have this theater company, other might do other kind of things, just to remain different.
But do you think it seems to me almost that it's inevitably going to die because the conditions of its existence have died?
Well, one day it will fade, of course. I mean, I'm very realistic about that. I wouldn't say in this coming 5 years, but well, in 20 years it might fading, because the Macanese stopped learning Portuguese. Maybe they have a reason for that. They face a situation like, well, what am I going to do with Portuguese in Macau? So I'd rather learn more Chinese or English. Maybe I have a chance, or are better chances to have a better job in Macau, or else. So people started betting on learning Portuguese. This, for those who wants to defend this, to preserve this Portuguese thing, it's well, a very serious setback.
Right.
It's very, but
so it becomes part of history rather than living reality.
Yes. I don't like to be a piece of museum.
Right.
I don't like that. Even I'm a piece of museum, but I'd rather be a movable thing right. than the aesthetic thing. But on the other hand, we might be on the brink of seeing a reinvention of a Macanese. You see, if you have a massive thing which is all equal, you should find something less boring. Okay, right. And you have to invent, create something that makes you different. And this sense of being different is the basis of identity. That's why it makes all sense. It makes all sense to keep on doing patois, keep on writing articles, writing books about Macau's uniqueness, using the Portuguese, using a lot of things just to point out, just to see people. They say, yes, we are part of this world, we are part of this territory, we are part of this history, but we are different.
Listening to the enthusiasm in your voice, the enjoyment. One of the things that really struck me, listening to you and going around the museum in Macau, there is a genuine pride and pleasure in Macau's uniqueness and its identity. By contrast, in Hong Kong, people seem to wear this identity, which matters, it's important, but they wear it like a penitent wears a hair shirt. And you find that in the Museum of History, that somehow Hong Kong's unique identity is something almost that we keep in the closet.
Like I was saying, being different, the sense of being different in Hong Kong, it's different in Macau. In Hong Kong, there is the political wave in the sense of being different. Now, we are the Hong Kong people say we are different, but they are different to whom? That's the question. To whom? And to whom it's obviously the mainland. Mm-hmm. Our something is our surrounding people. By contrast, in Hong Kong, the statement, there is a statement there, but the statement is rather political. Mm-hmm. This is my point of view. I don't know whether this political statement would evolve to a rather cultural thing, but well, that's something that we have to see further. But being different is the basic issue.
Miguel, thank you very much indeed.
It's a pleasure.